can you do a roll call for us?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Lisa Borowski,
Present.
Vice Mayor Adam Quasman,
Me.
Council members Jan Dubascus,
Here.
Barry Graham, Kathy Littlefield,
Here.
Marianne McCallan,
Present.
and Solange Whitehead.
Here.
City Manager Greg Caton,
Here.
Interim City Attorney Louis Santea,
Present.
City Treasurer Sonia Andrews,
Here.
Acting City Auditor Lake Clough,
Here.
and the clerk is present. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And this evening, we have Scottsdale Police Officers Kyle Shalak and Ray Wilburn, as well as Scottsdale firefighter Ben Vasquez. If anyone requires assistance, please see a member of the staff. And thank you very much to our public safety officers for being here tonight. For the Pledge of Allegiance, I would like to invite Cub Scout Pack 618 down to the podium to do the Pledge of Allegiance for us. Lead us in the pledge.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done. Do you want to introduce yourselves real quick? What school do you go to? Sequoia. Who do we have here?
Sequoia.
What's your name?
Jack.
Jack. Hi, Jack.
I'm Carter.
All right.
My name is Jackson and I go to St. John's.
Oh, nice.
My name is Daniel, and I also go to Sequoia.
Welcome.
My name is Harrison, and I go to Sequoia School.
My name is Isaac, and I also go to Sequoia Elementary School.
Excellent. Well done, gentlemen. Thank you. And for this evening's invocation, I'll turn the table over to Vice Mayor Adam Quasman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For tonight's invocation, I'd like to call up Rabbi Yossi Brisky, and I'll give a brief bio after the invocation.
In this institution, speech leads to action, but the Lubavitcher Rebbe has taught me to begin with an action before the speech. And so I'll give some charity in my charity box here. In the late 1800s, the chief rabbi of Prague, Rabbi Yecheskel Landau, was approached by a small group of rabble-rousers in a synagogue. Every synagogue has a group like this, nudniks that come and try to undermine the rabbi. They asked a bunch of hypothetical questions that were not relevant to practical law, and ultimately they were trying to trip him up, a bunch of gotcha questions. When he responded positively and properly to all the questions, the last one was incorrect and not compatible with Jewish law, with the legal rulings. They pointed this out and they said, "We caught you. You're not a very good rabbi." He said, "Let me explain to you. Leaders of a city, of a country, leaders in synagogues, clergymen, clergywomen, ultimately they're working with divine assistance, and they receive that assistance only in the merit of the people they serve, the constituents, the congregants, and that's the only reason they have those special powers coming through them like a conduit. As long as the questions are practical and have to do with practical law, I receive that divine assistance. But in your case, my own honor was at stake. My embarrassment, that's not a reason, or there's no need for divine assistance to protect my honor. But if I'm going to be leading and I'm going to be guiding, I will receive that divine assistance." And with that context, I'd like to bless each and every one of us. God of heaven, Master of the world, graciously bless these distinguished individuals chosen by many who have entrusted them with the responsibility of legislating for the well-being of their constituents and families. While we may be living in turbulent times, there is one constant, and that is Almighty God, who resides within each and every one of us and gives us the strength we need to remember who we are and what we're made of. We must not be discouraged by the darkness around us. Instead, Let us bring more light into the world through acts of goodness and kindness. The way to overcome hatred and bigotry is by instilling in our youth a deep respect for others. We do this by living by a higher moral code built on the foundation of the 7 Noahide universal laws given to all mankind, the 7th of them being to establish institutions like this one, teaching them to love and honor every human being, for each of us is created in the image of God. We must also help them understand their God-given purpose and their power to make the world a more beautiful and kind place for all. Through this, we are guaranteed to be able to live in peace. We implore God to grant them strength and moral courage, bestow upon them justice, grace, and empathy, enabling them to bring honor to your name and blessings to humankind. God bless Scottsdale, God bless Arizona, God bless the United States of America.
And with that, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Rabbi Brisky. Rabbi Brisky, wait, stand, get up there, hold on a second, need you a little more. Rabbi Brisky serves as the Aleph Institute's Director of Alternative Sentencing, where he oversees a dedicated team that works in conjunction with Defense Counsel to craft, present, and implement alternative sentencing proposals for minor offenders. Under his direction, alternative plans are devised to restructure personal priorities and goals and maintain the integrity of essential family ties, promote deterrence through fostering respect for our justice system, and rehabilitating those who are in the criminal justice system. Rabbi Brisky ensures that debts are appropriately paid to society while simultaneously allowing precious families to remain together. Thanks to his tireless efforts, countless federal and state courts nationwide have accepted the Aleph Institute's sentencing proposals. And Rabbi Brisky received his rabbinic ordination from the chief rabbi of Italy in Venice, and he moved to Arizona to serve as the rabbi of Young Israel, and currently is an integral part of Scottsdale's congregation Beth Tefillah. He resides in Scottsdale with his incredible wife, Shterny, and his beautiful children, and I have the distinct honor of calling him one of my dearest friends and mentors. So with that, Madam Mayor, back to you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, and thank you, Rabbi, for joining us here tonight. Moving along to the mayor's report, I'd like to thank all the residents that came out to the Mustang Library last week for the mayor's town hall. We had a great turnout, and it was really a productive discussion. Lots of great questions from unfamiliar faces and some familiar faces. Looking forward to the next one, which will be in the spring somewhere in South Scottsdale. So stay tuned and hope we can get lots of attendees to come say what's on their mind and have a good, open, productive discussion. Moving on, we have 2 presentations tonight, and the first is Employee Recognition Program, where City Council will recognize employees with 20 or more years of service as of this month. And presenting for us is Holly Peralta, Public Affairs Supervisor.
Good evening, Mayor Borowski and members of the City Council. Tonight, we're proud to recognize employees who have dedicated 20 or more years of service to the City of Scottsdale, effective this month. Each milestone anniversary represents more than time. It reflects loyalty, leadership, and a lasting commitment to our community. These employees have helped shape Scottsdale through their professionalism and dedication to simply better service for a world-class community. Through our employee service recognition programs, milestone honorees receive a small token of appreciation as a symbol of gratitude for their years of service. And we'd also like to thank the mayor and city council for supporting recognition at all stages, including providing thank you cards and gift cards to employees completing their first year with the city and milestone anniversaries following that. The full list of employees reaching milestone anniversaries is on the screen. As I read your name, if you're here tonight, please come forward to the front of the kiva. Tonight, celebrating 20 years of service, Zachariah Jones and Clara Mavis. At 25 years of service, we have Ryan Bucks, Jeffrey Knutson, and Tracy Spackman. Because of your dedication, Scottsdale remains a great place to live, visit, and work, and we thank you for your decades of service and the difference you make every day. And it doesn't look like anyone could join us, but we still thank them.
They must be hard at work still. So we thank them for their service. Thank you very much. All right, for the second presentation this evening, we have the East Valley Institute of Technology, EVIT, and presenting on this topic is Dr. Chad Wilson, EVIT Superintendent. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor and council members. It's a pleasure to be here. Councilmember Graham, thank you especially for giving us the opportunity to be here. My name is Chad Wilson. I'm the superintendent at the East Valley Institute of Technology, and this is Peter Boyle. He's the vice president of our governing board. So EVIT is in a very interesting space because we're nobody's local school district, but we're actually everybody's local school district. From Cave Creek to Queen Creek, we service you. Every student, high school or adult, that lives within those areas has the opportunity to participate in one of our 50 different programs that allows us to not only give individuals a leg up or a leg into the workforce, a leg up or a leg into college, a leg up or a leg into a career maybe that they had never thought about. So I sat down to do this presentation. I started writing all my superintendent words and speech and things like that, and I just decided y'all probably didn't want to hear that. So I do have a video that I'm going to show you. It's a video that talks about EVIT from the words of our own students. Because at the end of the day, their testimony is going to matter more than what I would say to you. Mr. Boyle is going to finish it up. But before I step over and turn the video on, I want to challenge you, and I want to challenge the city. So my two kids went to Chaparral, graduated from Chaparral High School. When my son was a freshman, we went to the guidance counselor, and we sat down with the guidance counselor, and we said we would really like our son to have a schedule built so that when he was a junior and senior, he could go down to EVIT. And the counselor said to me, your son doesn't have to go to EVIT, he's going to go to college. Now, the challenge is that sometimes there's this misconception that the only kids that go to EVIT are the kids that aren't going to go to college. That is a woefully poor misconception. And the reason is this: the vast majority of our kids go to college. In fact, my son went to college. But the experience he had at EVIT was probably as impactful on his college pathway as any other experience he had, and here's why. My kids went to the 3 Cs, right? So they lived with the same and around the same neighborhood, the same kids, elementary, middle, and high school. Wonderful schools, wonderful neighborhood, wonderful kids. When my son went down to EVIT, he went down to a campus and was in a classroom with kids that didn't look like him, didn't talk like him. Some were richer, some were poorer, some were darker, some were lighter. My son had to learn to problem solve, team build, collaborate, interact, socialize. That is a skill that is not typically taught in our typical high school system. So I challenge you, when you talk about EVIT, it isn't just for, quote, those kids. It's for all kids. It's for my kid. Can you play I don't know who I say this to, can you please play the video? Oh.
Imagine spending 2.5 hours each day finding your purpose and changing your life through career training with students from all over the East Valley who share your same interests. At EVIT, you'll learn from instructors with real-world experience in the careers you're passionate about. You'll gain advanced skills, hands-on experience, and industry-recognized certifications that prepare you for the workforce or continued education. You won't just learn about the job, you'll do the job. High school students earn credits that count toward graduation, with the option to enroll in dual enrollment courses that count toward a future college degree. For students interested in public safety, the new Fire Science Academy at Coronado High School, in partnership with Scottsdale Fire Department, offers live fire training, tower drills, and certifications to prepare you for careers in firefighting and emergency services. Our STEM Academy connects you with industry partners like Boeing, Honeywell, and Intel to prepare you for the high-tech jobs of tomorrow. We are also expanding our higher education programs to meet Arizona's workforce demands. Associate degrees, apprenticeships, and certificate programs, all at our main campus with smaller classes, affordable tuition, and an accelerated path to your future. Adults can also enroll in high school equivalency or GED prep and adult basic education programs, creating new opportunities for career advancement. Whatever your next steps are, the knowledge and experience gained at EVIT will set you far ahead of your competition. We are proud to offer a range of education pathways to your future, your way.
EVIT has changed my life because it set me on a better path. I went from being an almost high school dropout to now going to college.
Before I came into EVIT, I really didn't have a plan. And then I found this, and I've made so many connections, and I've met so many people like Jasmine. She's like my best friend.
I've improved as a person. I've met friends. I've got to do things I love, and now I'm set up for a career.
EVIT's really preparing me for my future because I'm a junior in high school and I'm able to get all this education very early on to just learn how to help others at such a young age.
EVIT has changed my life by allowing me to be a part of this program. I never thought that I would be going to college, let alone getting an associate's degree and becoming a certified surgical tech and having such a serious career, and that's very rewarding.
I love it here. I wouldn't change anything. Best decision I've ever made, 100%.
Every single day I get to be creative. Every single day I get to do something fun, and every day I get to learn something new. And it's just the best. Your future, your way. Your future,
Your way.
your future, your way. Your future, your way.
Your future, your way at EVIT.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members, and thank you again for the invitation to be here tonight. My name is Peter Boyle, and as our superintendent mentioned, I'm the Vice President of the EVIT Governing Board. Elected in 2022, my district includes the southern half of Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, Arcadia, and the northern part of Tempe. And I am also a career educator. And so I am incredibly proud that at this point I get to support a school district with the geographic size of Connecticut and the population of New Mexico. And one of the things that we say is that EVIT is at the intersection of public education and workforce development. We have high school students from all over the East Valley who attend our over 50 certification programs. They graduate with their high school diplomas and a credential of labor market value. Our automotive students actually graduate with up to 10 credentials of labor market value, and we're incredibly proud of their persistence rates as well. Because students who graduate from career and technical education programs tend to go on to college at higher rates and persist through college at higher rates than students who don't. So as our superintendent mentioned, career and technical education really is for everyone. We're also excited about our adult education programs. We're the first CTED in Arizona, that's Career and Technical Education District, to offer associate's degrees. And we had our first graduating class this past summer, which is incredibly exciting. And we're continuing to expand those high quality programs for our adult learners too. We are really leading innovations. You saw the STEM Academy, which is located at our Power Road campus, which is a collaboration with industry partners Boeing, Intel, and Honeywell. We're ready for Silicon Desert because our future workforce is coming right through that STEM Academy. And also what I selfishly, because it's in my neighborhood, call the crown jewel of our programming, which is the Coronado Fire Science Academy. And so we are incredibly proud of our strong partnership with our Scottsdale Fire Department to really stand up that phenomenal program at Coronado, and we would love to host you there for a visit if you haven't yet been. Before I close out, I just want to say that one of our nicknames is the best kept secret in the East Valley, but we're pretty tired of being a secret, and one of the reasons we're here tonight is share with everybody about the amazing quality of our programs and how many options we do have. So we wanted to extend, again, a thank you to the city for your partnership, and we want to continue to be your partner along with our great friends at Scottsdale Unified, and they are our great friends. We have very strong satellite programs on the Scottsdale Unified campuses, and we want to, with the city, continue to support education and workforce development. And so there are a couple events coming up that we think you might like. One is, I don't know if you're like me, I don't want to bake for 1 million relatives at Thanksgiving, so come to our EVIT bake sale, put in your orders online. Our commercial baking students are national award winners, and so we'd really appreciate that support. And then also come take a tour with us. The superintendent and I would love to host you on one of our campuses or at the Coronado Fire Science Academy. So once again, thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to continued strong partnership.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Councilman Graham would like to speak to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for accepting my invitation to be here, but it wouldn't be possible without my colleagues voting for this. So it was a group effort, and I'm very proud of my colleagues for allowing that. So I want to thank them for that. The Fire Science Academy at Coronado, do you have to be a Coronado student to enroll in that program?
No, you don't have to be a Coronado student. Any SUSD student can enroll in that program, but actually any student outside of SUSD can enroll in that program. And part of what our goal is can we potentially draw students from outside of SUSD into that program. So no, you don't have to be a Coronado student or even an SUSD student.
So you can be attending, do you have to be a Scottsdale resident?
No, you don't. No, you don't. And because it's an EVIT Central Campus program, it's ran just like we do our Central Campus. And so you do have to be a resident of the CTAD, but you don't have to necessarily go even to a public school district. You can be homeschooled, you can be charter schooled, you can be in a parochial school. All of those students are eligible to participate in that program at Coronado.
Yeah, suppose I hadn't thought about that as far as if you were homeschooled, for example, could you do a program like this for EVIT?
Yeah.
Watching that video, I almost became overcome with emotion because to see kids with, you know, the one-size-fits-all, which I know they don't talk about it like that, but, you know, some people still feel like it feels like it's a one-size-fits-all in, you know, the school track system, but it's almost emotional to see kids finding other options and thriving under a different environment, under an alternative environment, and it's not for just college-bound or not college-bound, it's for everybody, and I would argue that it rounds anybody out, no matter how high your ambitions are or how aspirational you are. So very informative, and again, I thank my colleagues for allowing this, for affording us this presentation.
Thank you. Councilwoman McAllen.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, gentlemen, Director Wilson and Vice President Boyle. It's a long road from where EVIT started as VOTEC. For those of you who are Scottsdale residents back in the day, in the 70s and 80s, VOTEC school was at Scottsdale High, which it went away. And then when EVIT was developed and allowing the whole East Valley to take part, and it's so much better than you're even saying. I took the tour last spring.
Oh, good.
I went as a board member of the Coronado Foundation for the Future, which Peter also sits on our board of directors. We're very happy. But we took the tour, we took the challenge, we took the tour because we thought we knew so much about it. And we ate the baked goods, very good. I'll be putting it in order. But so much investment by companies. And what you're talking about is the future workforce in the Silicon Desert. That is exactly what our state needs. We need to invest in our students so they can invest in our future. And I am so grateful for EVIT. I'm especially proud of the Fire Science Academy at Coronado. I was at a retirement of one of our assistant fire chiefs last week, and I was talking to a couple of the captains about the Fire Science Academy and that their future Scottsdale firefighters, possibly. And that's so exciting to be able to train them the way they need to be trained. But one topic that I didn't hear mentioned that I'd like to maybe have you just say a little bit about, Director Wilson, is about the brand new housing that's taking place. That is state-of-the-art, on the edge of being so creative. But if you would share a little bit about that, I'd appreciate that.
So one of the things we believe about CTE is that it changes lives. I mean, CTE truly can change a life. And so when I became the superintendent, one of the things we looked at is what was the most disadvantaged subgroup of students in the state of Arizona, specifically what group of students was least likely to graduate or graduate on time. We didn't know what the outcome was going to be, but we said if we believe we can change lives, let's find that group and see if we can't lean in and support them. Tragically, the most disadvantaged subgroup of students in the state of Arizona is foster youth. If you are a foster youth, you statistically have the least likeliest of a chance to finish high school or finish high school on time. And we said that we have got to be able to do better. Not only EVIT, but a state, a country can do better. So we embarked on this idea, how can we support foster youth? And what we found out is really the need, I mean, there's lots of needs, but the most urgent need was aging out foster youth that hadn't finished high school and didn't have a year 13 plan. 77% of foster youth age out of the system and don't really have a year 13 or year 21 plan, or what, they have no plan. So we said, how can we lean in and support them? And one of the real barriers is that they didn't have a safe place to stay. And so we sat down and we said, well, if we can find them a safe place to stay and we marry it to CTE, Career and Technical Education, does that change the trajectory of their life? Or could that change the trajectory of their life? And we believe it could. We were fortunate 3 years ago to get $10 million out of the state budget to build a dormitory on our campus down on Main Street. It's called Hope Tech. Hope Tech opened up last July. It's a 64-bed facility in which aging out foster youth that haven't had a place, don't have a Year 13 plan, don't have a safe place to live, can come live with us and participate in one of our 50 different programs. And at the end of the day, the goal is to give them a safe place to live with wraparound services. So we do quite a bit of work on some of the mental health issues that demographic just naturally has, as well as pair them into an industry. And we always say this in CTE, if we can get you into your passion, give you a purpose, you're gonna get a paycheck. And so can we get these youth connected to a passion, a purpose, and a paycheck, and launch them into a different trajectory than what they were experiencing? We opened last year with 18 students. This year we now have 32, and next year we're going to open hopefully at 48, then to 64. It is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity, and we're very proud of it. And if anybody, not just the council, but if anybody's interested in taking a look at it, reach out to us. I think you will really see it as a usage of tax dollars in ways that typically you don't see, trying to change the trajectory of not only lives, but if their kids and their kids' kids, the breaking of the cycle.
That's really incredible. Thank you for that. Councilwoman Whitehead.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. I want to thank Councilman Graham for bringing you here and for Councilwoman McGowan for bringing up the housing. I didn't know that. I think you did mention that. I am definitely going to take a tour. I agree with Councilman Graham that video was very emotional, and what I love about it is you're training people or youth in jobs that can't be exported, and that are really just hands-on, can go across many, many industries. So I'm just so excited, and I will be out taking that tour, a couple tours it sounds like. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. Sounds like a fascinating program, and the advancements you're undertaking are incredible. Thank you.
Thank you for the time.
All right, I'm going to jump to the public comment announcement. This is the time reserved for Scottsdale citizens, business owners, and our property owners to comment on non-agendized items that are within the council's jurisdiction. No official council action can be taken on these items, and speakers are limited to 3 minutes each to address the council. If you wish to speak on a non-agendized or an agendized topic, please see the city clerk. And meanwhile, I have several speakers here. Steve Sutton, Dan Isaac, Yvonne Cahill, Laura Schaefer, and Michael Schaefer. So starting with Steve Sutton.
I have a little problem here. Wants to slide off the podium. Everyone can hear me all right? Okay, good. Steve Sutton, address on record. Good evening, Mayor Borowski, and to the other 6 city council members. Listen and take notice. Thousands of Scottsdalians petitioned you multiple times for a public hearing to talk about building a garage at the parking corral. You ignored them. People of Scottsdale also petitioned you to conduct a parking study to prove that building a garage is necessary and investigate alternatives. They made it clear to you they expected you to act in good faith. You and your city manager responded last Friday with this impressively thick packet. Now, what's in here that would be of interest to thousands of residents telling you don't build a garage unless you can prove it needs to be built. Well, minutes of meetings, don't need that. Goals and policies, don't need that either. Somebody's old petition, don't need that. Urban design and architecture guidelines and a proposed contract, don't need that. Another copy of my petition, I certainly don't need that. More council meetings, okay, don't need that. Oh, here's something interesting. This is a timeline of events, and that might come in real handy to see the sequence of stupidities over the last 6 years. Here's a letter from the city manager. Mr. Caton writes, a parking and traffic study would, quote, significantly delay the projected time for building and take several months to complete and increase costs. Well, we've had at least 9 months before scheduled construction, more than enough time to complete a tourist and spring training season parking and traffic study. That's something you should have done long ago, since planning for this proposed garage project began years ago. Again, the council is ignoring thousands of residents and deceitfully attempting to distract residents with a pile of bureaucratic excrement. In response, I have a 12-month action plan. My action plan is not a threat. It is a nonviolent message from your constituents. Now, you council members may feel threatened or may claim to be threatened by my action plan, but please remember, feeling threatened and claiming you have been threatened does not mean you've been threatened. Councilmember Barry Graham understands this, as he recently got an embarrassing lesson in the consequences of making false claims of being threatened. There is, of course, another petition. This time we're not asking you for anything. We are telling you. In just 4 days, 1,000 residents have said no to you. You should expect thousands more to say the same. We anticipate more than your margin of victory in the last election and maybe enough for a future recall. Because 3 minutes is not enough time to be sufficient for a full explanation of the action plan, I have chosen a short code word to describe your plan to build a garage and your power as council members. I also have a code phrase that describes what constituents intend to do to your plan and power. That code word is Cartago, and the phrase is Cartago delenda est. Cartago delenda est, Cartago delenda est. I'm sure the attorneys understand that. They all had to know Latin. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Steve. Dan Isaac, followed by Yvonne Cahill.
Dan Isaac, address on record. I want to follow up from a vote at the last meeting regarding the solar shade garage at the City Hall parking lot. I believe that there is some misunderstanding, not necessarily misinformation, but a misunderstanding that might have led some people to vote yes on that project. 3 points. The first one has to do with what the bond measure legally requires the city to do. Vice Mayor Quasman correctly pointed out that the actual ballot language does not list the 100 projects that were contemplated in the bond study. And most people vote based on the ballot language. Even the voter information brochure that was sent made it very clear that of the numerous projects listed, the city reserves the right through the Bond Oversight Commission and the City Council to not do specific projects based on cost, feasibility, and whether they're still needed. The city is only required to spend the bond money on the projects listed, but not each and every project. So anybody who says that the residents voted for this $2 million shade structure is incorrect. Barry Graham likes to talk about how we have to listen to the voters. It was a special election that had a significant support of the bond project. But it's the special election that Barry also says is not sufficient for the Axon project. You can't have it both ways, Barry. The second point, and probably the most important, is that the council was led to believe that this project would be a net savings for the city. I had trouble getting my arms around how a $45,000 utility savings over 25 years would be $3 million in savings. So I followed up with staff and found that even though they had put in some robustness in their analysis by increasing what the utility rates would be over time, and by also showing that the efficiency of the solar panels would degrade over time, they forgot to take into account the time value of money. The $3 million of savings was actually just a simple sum. Now, even a first-year accounting student understands that a $2 million outlay today is very different than a $3 million stream of payments over 25 years. Barry Graham, as an accountant, should have caught this error, and our city manager should have caught this error. Perhaps had we done a national search, we would have had a city manager who understands the time value of money and the concept of present value. The third point, and this is something that I agree with Barry on, he was concerned about the aesthetics of a modern solar structure being close to a historic building in Scottsdale. He's right. You can't make a solar shaded structure look good next to the Kiva. It's interesting, though, that Barry supports a 36-foot tall parking structure across the street from the most historically significant building in Scottsdale, as opposed to a 16-foot structure 100 yards away from the Kiva. This inconsistency is disturbing.
Thank you, Dan. Yvonne Cahill, followed by Laura Schaefer.
Dan is taller than me. Good evening, Mayor Borowski and Council. I'm here tonight to talk about NAOS, the Natural Area Open Space in Scottsdale that's referred to as protected areas of the Sonoran Desert, designated to be preserved in their natural state. These easements are legally recorded restrictions on private or associated owned property, meaning no construction, grading, or significant landscaping can occur within them. They're there to protect the native vegetation, the wildlife, the washes. While the homeowners do own the land, the NOS easement requires it to remain undisturbed, although limited activities like removing non-native invasive plants or small amounts of trash are permitted. The purpose of the NAOS is to preserve the natural desert. The ownership land is privately owned, but the NAOS designation is a deed restriction. So there's many things you cannot do. I noticed in February the NAOS brochure for the city was outdated. It was 2017. Since then, there's been many plants, that are non-native plants that invaded the desert. I also noticed there's a huge confusion with residents. Many of them think they can't touch a thing, and this is not true. I did talk with Chief Shannon about upgrading it, and he said he would take steps to do that. And when I last checked with him, he said it was in planning. I called planning, and I have not heard back from them. I called Chief Shannon to check on the progress of this, and I have not heard back from him either. But this is very important. Fire season in Scottsdale is not just 4 months of the summer. It's 365 days a year. I'm really begging the city council and the city manager to make this a priority. I was up in Troon last week listing a property, and it was just appalling at how overgrown the desert was and what a fire trap it is. I want people to remember January 7th last year, what happened. The Malibu fires. We have to prioritize this NAOS brochure. We also have to have education to our citizens. And it's not just North Scottsdale. We have communities like Stonegate that are back up to the reservation. So we should be working in conjunction with them to really come up with a solution for this, because I think it's an urgent matter, and I hope the council will agree with me, and I hope the city manager will make this a priority. If it is updated, to get it on the website, because I just checked tonight, and it's still the 2017 brochure. It doesn't have enough instructions for citizens. They're still confused, and so please also put with it an education component that the fire department can go out and teach these people how to take care of their NAOS. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. Next, we have Laura Schaefer, and finally, Michael Schaefer.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Laura Schaefer, and my address is on record. I'm here tonight regarding the ongoing violations of 8226 East Shea Boulevard, known as Hercules Field. For more than 2 years, residents have documented repeated zoning violations, paid baseball coaching, online advertising, spectator traffic, noise, and field lighting, all occurring in a residential R135 zone. We've sent photos, videos, witness statements, yet the city continues to say it's monitoring instead of enforcing. Monitoring is not enforcement, it's avoidance. The city's own records confirm that this property has an active business license issued by Scottsdale. City Code Section 16-19, Section B, states that representations or advertisements that reference a business location within the city or an active license or permit issued by a governmental agency to conduct business are prima facie evidence that a business is operating. In other words, the city's own ordinance recognizes that the existence of a business license and public advertising prove business activity is taking place, yet the city keeps insisting there's no conclusive proof of commercial use. You can't have it both ways. The facts and the city's own laws contradict that claim. The property owners do not reside there. They have never resided there. Yet the city continues to classify the site as residential and look the other way. That's selective enforcement, and it violates ARS 9-462.05, which requires zoning laws to be applied fairly and consistently. I'm asking this council to step in, stop the excuses, and enforce Scottsdale Code equally for everyone. Shut down the commercial operations and ensure full compliance. Our neighbors, our neighborhood deserves peace, safety, and the same protection the law promises all Scottsdale residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Michael Schaefer.
Wow, nice job, honey. Mayor, City Council, thanks again for hearing a little bit more about this. So, yeah, we did come, we petitioned the city at that point in time. We brought photos and pictures, and a lot of people look at this and shake their head and wonder, how's this possible in the city of Scottsdale? It's so apparent that this is a baseball training facility as named by the owners of the property. And not only does that exist there, but there's a construction company, the owner's construction company that operates. They have 2 trucks. They park, with the logos parked out on the street. And now, just to confuse matters more, they're in the middle of a business or a building, changing the building in accordance with plans that they've shared with the city. And I'd love you to go there, 82nd Place in Shea, and look at it and tell me what you think, and tell me what you thought if this would be next to your property. So we did have, after the petition, there was a lot of transition going in on the city. The interim manager had not yet been officially appointed or elected. The zoning department appeared to be changing, and now Chief DeLuke, I believe, is in charge of that. And we met and talked, and we were asked to provide some time for these transitions to occur, which we did. And we were told at the initial meeting that a case was being developed that gave us some hope that what they were doing was being compared with what the requirements are under R135. And so maybe one of the most important parts or interesting parts about that meeting is one of our neighbors who lives immediately behind the ball field had asked the city maybe a year before, could he use his garage as a business for a jiu-jitsu studio? His daughter and he were into it, and they wanted to have a little jiu-jitsu story, put the mats down in their garage. And they posed that to the city before they moved forward with it, and he stated the city didn't say no. They said hell no. And so it's confusing for us to see, well, why 1 year, what seems to be a less of a obstruction to the property, would it be a no, and yet later it would be a yes? And I think maybe the operations manager had said, well, we've learned that the city zoning doesn't always apply the rules the same in one case and another, and this certainly is a great example of that. So we're challenged by this. Our neighbors are challenged by this. The file on this is about 2-3 inches thick. And we're looking for guidance as to how we can continue to take what is clearly an operation, and if that operation, if a McDonald's doesn't take money for their burgers, are they still a business? And so it seems to me that's the card that's being played. We don't get money, so we can operate a business because we don't get money. So thank you for hearing us tonight. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Michael. All right. Councilwoman Whitehead.
Yeah, I just wanted to request a report back to all of council within a week, because I also thought there was a lot of action. This was a big, affecting an entire neighborhood. So I'm just requesting a response by the city manager to all of us on council. And thank you for coming back.
Councilman Graham.
Thank you, Mayor. I was going to make a similar request. I don't know if we need to agendize something for that, but do we need to? Okay, I'm getting a no. We don't need to, but it would be nice to, this baseball field thing it's gone on and on a really long time, and I kind of agree with the, prima facie aspect of it. Do you want to say something about that, City Manager?
Yes, Madam Mayor and Councilman Graham, I was just reviewing an email and a correspondence with the speakers as recent as last week. We continue to have extensive communications with them and reporting back on the number of issues that they brought forward. I will provide an extensive report to City Council because the issues and the communication has been ongoing. So happy to provide that within days. I do believe this could constitute an executive session discussion, and we'll have conversations with the interim city attorney to advise and confer with his expertise in this area and potentially bring that forward for your consideration. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. And if I just had one more comment. Oh, thank you, Mayor. I wanted to respond to resident Mr. Sutton. I don't know if he said it, this comment, or the prior one, but it was about Councilwoman Littlefield, and there was kind of a revival of debunked claims about conflict of interest, and it's just not, that has been debunked over and over, and it kind of assumes that our attorneys haven't looked at that and are incompetent to make a qualified decision about that. So I just want to recognize Councilwoman Littlefield about that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All right. That concludes public comment on non-agendized items. And moving along to meeting minute approvals, I will entertain a motion to approve the regular meeting and work study session minutes of September 9th, 2025, the special meeting minutes of September 12th, 2025, and the executive session meeting minutes of September 12th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate your vote. All right. Next, we have consent agenda items 1 through 8. If anyone has any questions about the consent agenda items or requests to move those to the regular agenda, please indicate. Seeing none, we can move on to, I'll entertain a motion to approve consent agenda items 1 through 8.
Madam Mayor, I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask a question about one of the items.
Sure, absolutely.
May I ask Ms. Tim Q, City Engineer, about item number 5, 78th Street Functional Classification Map Amendment? Thank you, Ms. Tim Q. I guess my question is, we're reclassifying 78th Street, and this is between Shea and Mountain View, from minor collector to a local residential street. Is that the only reclassification that we're making for this vote?
Mayor, Councilmember Graham, that's correct.
And then I just noticed there was a citizen's petition to, I'll just read it, petition for request that stop signs be installed on 78th Street and Gold Dust and lower speed limit from 30 to 25 miles per hour. Does this reclassification allow us to do that?
Mayor, Councilmember Graham, yes. So we are going to be reclassifying the roadway, and then we will also be reducing the speed limit, and we will do some traffic calming, including speed tables.
The city hasn't added speed tables in many, many years. Do you know what can you recall the last time we added speed tables?
Councilmember Graham, I'm going to have to call on Nathan for that, Nathan Dome, but I do believe that we've used them in different locations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Borowski and Councilman Graham. We are actively using speed tables. I can't recall the last time we used them, but they're in various stages of evaluation. We have a neighborhood traffic management program run through our traffic engineering group who monitors resident concerns about speeding on their neighborhood, and one of the effective tools we use is speed tables, if that is determined.
I remember with the prior city manager, Mr. Thompson, I think he started in 2017, and he told me up until last year there's not been one speed table or speed bump added during my tenure. He seemed like he didn't like them, or they weren't, and we get a lot of complaints about them, but I know that we use them and we employ them. I didn't know that we had them, and I didn't know we were gonna, my understanding was we haven't installed any in a long time, and that I didn't know this is kind of a departure from our strategy. The request for this reclassification for this street, that seems to have come from the neighbors, from the residents. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, it started with a resident petition.
And then, is this, can you tell us which intersection you're going to be adding stop signs, or, and can you tell us how many speed tables you might be adding?
Currently, we're evaluating 78th and Gold Dust for stop mitigation, and then the speed tables would be on both ends of 78th and Gold Dust, so that intersection right between Shea and Mountain View.
Are you going to be adding any traffic calming or median or raised median features?
The traffic calming would be the speed tables. And
Okay.
then it'll be and then 6 months we'll evaluate if it's mitigated the speeding concerns.
I'm kind of disinclined to, I kind of disinclined to enjoy speed tables and speed bumps myself. Oh, okay. I think there was a small disturbance there, but it does sound like I'm gonna vote to approve this, but I just wanted to ask those questions and kind of get that on the record. And is this gonna come with any cost besides? I guess the speed bumps are gonna cost money, but some of the studies. But is this gonna be? I guess what's the cost of this gonna be, and then where's the funding gonna come from?
It's going to be a minimal cost for speed tables and changing the signs for the speed limit. We have a budget for neighborhood traffic management, so as I said, we have that program that our traffic engineers evaluate it. We have funding associated with that if the complaints are warranted and go through the process of design, we can install them.
So you don't know how much it's going to cost at this point?
I don't know right now how much it will cost. Less than $100,000.
Okay. Okay, I'm kind of lukewarm on speed bumps in general, and so maybe it's another discussion we have at some point, but because I do like the traffic calming features. I know that the other ones that I'm talking about with the vegetative raised mediums are more expensive, and I understand that. But I wanted to get those on the record and just ask a few questions. So, Mr. Dome and Ms. Timke, thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you.
You may have more questions, so.
Councilwoman, City Manager wants to speak. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just going to add to some of my colleagues' comments there, and specifically to some of the questions that Councilman Graham had. I was participated with staff when we did a site visit and met with the neighbors out there, and there are certainly some pros and cons when you introduce calming devices such as this. And in the field, we discussed some of those negatives that might impact the neighborhood and the neighbors around there. And I would submit that it was really kind of a compromised effort. They had, from a community standpoint, introduced some solutions that we saw some challenges with from an engineering perspective, and so we introduced this concept, and as you've referenced from our recent practice of not instituting these, and saw that this was an application where it would fit the neighborhood. There is significant north-south speeding in that area, and this would address the situation, particularly a fair amount of pedestrians moving east and west, and they recognize, again, there are some drawbacks to the speed tables. Just to mention those for the audience, sometimes there's braking, sometimes they're before them, sometimes they're speeding up after them. There's a little bit of some noise that can be emitted from the vehicles, and we mentioned all of those, and then there was great neighborhood involvement and outreach, and really bring forward this for council's consideration after extensive discussions with the neighborhood and a real community-oriented solution. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. And Councilwoman Whitehead.
So nobody's going to be surprised that I also noticed this agenda item, but sort of had the opposite opinion as my colleague. I had contacted Allison. I actually use that road a lot, and I think it's excellent that we're putting in these speed tables. I just want to point out that it's actually difficult. I have made multiple requests from residents to look at traffic calming. Speed tables are great because they're not speed bumps. They really just slow you down. So I'm thrilled to have this. I don't think there are any driveways on 78th. Am I correct? You can yell from over there. That's what I thought. I'm going to go after you now. I do think that we're considering a speed table on Thunderbird just east of Hayden. Are we not? That has driveways, that road.
Sorry, Councilwoman Whitehead, can you please repeat the question?
Yeah, I think you're considering, I had some residents and it sounded like it was moving forward, a speed table, Thunderbird, just east of Hayden. It's a neighborhood road.
I'll have to look into it.
Oh, okay, you don't know all of our streets? Okay, but I was intrigued because this did get approval. It is a small street, but it has no driveway, so you're going to be hearing more from me from other residents, but thank you for all this dialogue. And I definitely support slowing people down.
Thank you. Councilman Graham.
Oh, I withdraw my comment. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. All right, that concludes the discussion on that item. So we'll go back to the motion to approve consent agenda items 1 through 8. All those in favor, please indicate your vote.
Mayor, I apologize. I think we actually need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I thought we had a motion. Apologies, I thought we had a motion on the table. We did. Yeah. Oh, we started to, I'm sorry, and then Councilman Graham. That's right, all right. Did we vote? Yeah.
Come on, buttons. Here we go.
All those in favor? Thank you. Moving on, there are no citizens petitions, is that correct, Ben? Okay, then we'll move on to the mayor and council items. Item number 10, tonight we are considering a request from Vice Mayor Quasman to direct the city manager to investigate and report back to the council on the process for erecting or establishing a Charlie Kirk Memorial in Scottsdale. Vice Mayor, would you like to speak to this?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, members of the council, I brought this agenda item in order to honor an incredible Scottsdale resident who truly embodied the spirit of 1776. He inspired a nation, and he lived a truly American life, accomplishing a lion-sized amount in his short time on this earth, before his life was cut short by an evil assassin's bullet on September 10th, 2025. That man is Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk had strong ties to Scottsdale. He and his inspirational wife, Erica, who was raised right here, chose our city to raise their beautiful young family, and it's only fitting that we dedicate a memorial to Charlie here in Scottsdale. Charlie was best known for fearlessly bringing different voices together, ultimately sacrificing his very life to promulgate the most American of ideals, that open dialogue, respectful discourse. These are the fundamental underpinnings of American democracy. He reminded us that the founding principles, love of God and country, and respectful, spirited debate, are integral to our national heritage. Voting for this item directs the city manager to find the best way to honor Charlie Kirk and the principles of respectful democratic discourse he fought for and died to secure. It's the first step to help make our upcoming National Bicentennial and Scottsdale 75 celebrations that much more meaningful. It's a way to honor a friend. Thank you.
Thank you. I see a couple of comments from Councilwoman Whitehead first.
So I'm going to kind of go back a little bit on my colleague's request and talk about policy. I think that because I was actually thinking about memorials myself this year when we lost Mr. Scottsdale, otherwise known as Paul Messenger, who of course for 80 years had impact in Scottsdale. So I pondered what is the city's policy to make it so that when we move forward, it's not divisive, it's not, it doesn't look like there's undue influence by a foreign council. So, because I do think that we need to find ways to honor the many people that lived and then died here in Scottsdale, or died especially prematurely. So I look at the state, and the state has a policy. And so what I would like to do is make an alternate motion to have our city manager review and bring back a City of Scottsdale memorial policy that mirrors the state policy, which stipulates a person must be deceased for at least 5 years before a commemorative naming of a geographic feature may be approved. And I think that, we've received a lot of emails on both sides. This is a very raw issue for a lot of people. And I think that by adopting a policy like that, we will get those memorials, but it'll be done in a process that is very community engagement and time to, and take politics out of it, just, take emotion and politics out of it, just make it a policy. So that is my alternate motion.
I'll second that motion, and I'd like to speak to my second.
Go right ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I, too, was going to ask the city manager, actually the city attorney, to find out if we do have any type of statute about this. And I also was going to quote the state statute that it's a 5-year waiting time in order to do that. Many cities have that. My second thought on this, other than an ordinance or statute, is that the city never pay for any type of memorial statue. It should be privately funded, not taxpayer funded, and then the statute about where it should be or how it should come about. We have a lovely veterans memorial outside behind City Hall, privately funded. We have Herb Drinkwater statue, privately funded, not by state or taxpayer funds. I want to ensure that nobody's paying for anybody's memorial statue with somebody's tax dollars. Just my comments.
Thank you. And I want to make a few comments on this. So I think it's a fabulous idea. Behind the scenes, I've been working to try to get input from Tyler Boyer, the COO now, and I would love to have his input on this idea if it so should pass, and also Charlie's widow's input. So on that note, I think it would be a good idea to form an interim subcommittee of the council to look at this and bring it back to the council for a vote such that, because you're asking for direction to the city manager to investigate and report back, but I, for one, think this would be an excellent project for a subcommittee of the council. So I would love to do an amended, if we have to vote on this, I don't want to make it too complicated, but.
Madam Mayor, I will, before I answer that question, I think, Madam Mayor, I yield to Councilwoman DeBascus.
The reason I called on you is because you were next on the list.
All right. I'm going to remove
Councilwoman.
myself from the list formally,
Okay,
but you're
all
correct.
right.
You're correct.
Go ahead, Councilwoman DeBascus.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think that what we're hearing is that we would like some sort of a policy, we'd like some sort of a discussion, we'd like some sort of a framework for these things. And so I would make an alternate to the alternate motion, which is to ask the city manager to investigate to creating a policy for memorials, and then bring that back to council, and then we could potentially at that time debate, is it 5 years, is it 2 years, is it, what are the things that we should consider? I think we've heard that we would like for this to be something that is privately funded. Maybe there's a waiting period, maybe there's a determination of location, things like that. But I think we would like to have a framework for when we do memorials. And I think that would be something that would be beneficial in all of these situations, so that we have something that we can rely on and we can get some public feedback on it as well.
I'm going to second that alternate motion.
Councilman Graham.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, the alternate motion is directing the city manager to come back to us, but then I don't, just sort of, I guess maybe I'm almost making a point of order, is that we can't really debate it at that point. So I wonder if we can, I thought we just receive the report. That's how it works most of the time. I was wondering maybe if we should direct the city manager to put a policy or something, and we can discuss it. So I'm just.
That was the intention of my motion.
I guess maybe this is to the parliamentarian, but can we make the motion that can we move to adopt the second point, and then the city manager produces a report that we can have like a meeting discussion, or should it be the first one?
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, just to clarify one thing, there's only 2 motions on the table. I don't believe that a motion was ever presented for the original item. So there's a motion that by either Councilwoman McCowan or Whitehead, and then an alternative motion.
Okay.
So there's not 3 motions. What I would recommend to the council is that you actually do 1 and 2. Ask the city manager or appropriate charter officer to investigate matter, provide a written report, and then also agendize it for a later time after the written report to provide input, and perhaps a work study session would work best.
Vice Mayor Quasman.
I'm sorry. I think we just fell into like a hole of government bureaucracy just now, and I want to just claw us out of here little by little. I think that I give due respect as a former state legislator of ideas from the state, but I think it's really funny that there are members here who rail against the state legislature being way too powerful, and then say, hey, we should copy exactly what the state legislature did. Charlie Kirk is a national treasure, and we have an opportunity here to honor him, and that's it. Some things are very simple in life, and this is one of them. And I am all for, in the future, taking a look at how we do memorials. I think we should have an entire celebration of Scottsdale initiative as part of Scottsdale 75, but I think we could discuss all of that at a later time, and I would be for all of these ideas for a later time. Right now, I actually agree with the mayor's alternative motion. I see the first alternative motion as hostile, and the mayor's alternative motion as correct, is to set up a subcommittee. And I think I think that subcommittee, by the way, that one of the first things I would like to propose in that subcommittee is to direct the city manager to fully report to the subcommittee on how we do this, and then and we should also direct the city manager to do this in the most fiscally conservative way possible, which would also honor Charlie Kirk's memory. So with that, I would agree with the mayor's alternative motion.
And I didn't formally make the motion, but I will make the motion.
And I'll second it.
So long as I don't, do you want to take,
Point of order, there's a motion on the floor, is there not?
there's two, I can still do an alternative
You can make
motion.
alternate motion.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, the problem with forming a subcommittee tonight, it's not agendized that way.
Okay. Well then, let's just make it easy. Let's direct, Madam Mayor, Mr. City Attorney. Then I will ask this council then to direct the city manager to investigate the matter. One and two. Oh, we could do both.
1 and 2.
All right, great. Let's number 1 and number 2. Direct the city manager or responsible charter officer to agendize the item for a future meeting, and to direct the city manager or responsible charter officer to investigate the matter and prepare a written response to the council.
Very good.
And not necessarily at the same time.
Madam Mayor, somewhere in the great beyond, Charlie Kirk is laughing so loud right now.
All right.
So Mayor and members of the council, you can only have 2 motions at a time. I believe there's now 3. Is there someone willing to withdraw one of their motions?
I'll withdraw my motion.
Thank you.
Do we have a second for that? I'll second it.
May I have the floor, Mayor?
Yes,
Thank you.
Councilwoman Whitehead.
Okay, I actually think that Councilwoman DeBascus' motion had more clarity, and it actually was broader than my motion, which stipulated the 5 years, and hers left open a discussion of how many years would be appropriate. So I guess I would like to withdraw my motion with the agreement on Councilwoman DeBascus' part that she will put hers back on the table.
Point of order. There's been a withdrawal of a motion
Okay,
and an alternative
okay,
motion. So the
yeah.
the live motion is now Vice Mayor Clausman's.
Okay, well, I'm going to leave my motion on the table then. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Clausman's.
It's Vice Mayor Clausman's. Councilman Graham, you still want to talk?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So there's an alternate motion from the Vice Mayor for items 1 and 2 that was seconded by the mayor, if I understand that correctly. I guess what I would just want to make sure, and I agree with these sentiments, I kind of would like to maybe say that the item would come to the future meeting at the same time that the report is provided, so that we have the report and then at that meeting we could decide about policy, and we could take action on the thrust of, I think, of your motion. Can you could you modify your motion to incorporate that? Is that possible, Vice Mayor?
Vice Mayor Clausman.
City manager, is that possible? Whatever needs to happen to get the ball rolling, I don't really mind how this sausage gets made, but I just want to get the ball rolling, and I would hope, Mr. City Manager and Mr. City Attorney, that things can happen simultaneously so as to best serve the council on this agenda item.
Madam Mayor and Vice Mayor, if I may, yes, the way I see this, given the discussion, if this is amenable to council, is number 1, if there's direction to my colleague and myself for number 1 and number 2, that literally we work immediately on number 1 and would have that in advance of, number 2, and then we schedule the item number 1. So you'll have the report in a very expeditious manner, and then you would have that in advance of whenever we are able to schedule the item.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Clausman. That was it? Okay.
That was all.
Councilwoman McAllen.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to mention that I know that the Parks and Recreation Department, Human Services, have memorial statutes also and policies in place. We want to make sure that we're looking at something citywide, not just to one person. I understand that people want to honor many people. I currently have a gentleman who died at 104, who played chess at the Granite Reef Senior Center, and a couple people have come forward and they want to name a building after him, a room in the building, but we haven't done that in the past. So what I'm also suggesting is that this isn't just a one-fit memorial. What we do will affect many things, so we really need to look at this intensely on many levels. It's just my thought.
Thank you. With that, let's go ahead and take a vote on.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to, oh, I didn't see it up there. We're going to take a vote on Vice Mayor Quasman's alternate motion. All those in favor, please indicate your vote. There we go. Thank you very much. Moving on, work study session. Next, we have a work study session which provides the mayor and council a less formal alternative to discuss specific topics with each other and city staff. Work study sessions provide the opportunity for staff to receive direction from the council and with the public observing these discussions. We have two comments for the work study session. First, we have Steve Sutton and then Victoria, Kimball.
I strive, pardon me, Mayor Borowski, Council, I strive to speak with clarity and have people understand exactly what I'm saying. I apparently failed to do that earlier tonight, and that one of the council members failed to note the distinction between me talking about perception and reality. So I want to make sure that while I'm speaking this time, that they are paying close attention, because there is quite a difference. I was speaking about perception before, now I'm speaking about reality. I grew up in a culture of safety with a father who was a lifeguard and then a pool manager. I pretty much did every Red Cross class and was a Red Cross instructor when I was younger. I've trained people to be lifeguards. I've trained soldiers in first aid. I've trained soldiers to save themselves from chemical and nerve agent attack. I've spent a lot of time in my life being careful. And I'm a big believer in us doing anything we can to make our streets safer. I think there should be a longer pause at intersections where lights are, so that people have time to be stopped before they decide to go, to give people who are making a mistake time to get stopped before somebody darts out in front of them. I am a big believer in lagging left turns. I think they're much safer than leading left turns. I hope the council will work with traffic engineers to improve our intersection safety, even if it does mean slowing us all down just a little bit on the road. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Steve. And next we have Victoria Kimball. I don't see Victoria Kimball, so we will go right forward with the work session item. The first one is signaling system, left turn signals and red light timing. I asked to have this added to the agenda because I've received lots of feedback from residents that there is a lot of variety in our city's scoping of left-hand turn signals and applicable rules for intersections, which leads to confusion and potentially leads to collisions as a result. So thank you for being here tonight presenting on this topic. We have Allison Timkew, City Engineer, and John Hone, am I saying that right? Senior Manager, Traffic Engineering. Go right ahead.
Okay, thanks. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I'd like to introduce John Huang. He's our senior manager over traffic engineering, and he and his staff work daily to maintain the safety and efficiency of our transportation network. And I think that will be evident in his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Good evening, Mayor Borowski, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Tonight's presentation is about traffic signal, left turn arrow operation, and also signal change, signal clearance intervals. Traffic signal operation is one of the essential functions of the Traffic Management Center. I do have a quick video about Traffic Management Center.
Scottsdale's Traffic Management Center, or TMC, launched in 1993 with just one camera to help ease traffic during the Phoenix Open. Today, it's a cutting-edge operation managing traffic at over 300 intersections and more than 14,000 streetlights across the city. Staffed by traffic engineers, analysts, and technicians, the TMC's essential functions include live traffic monitoring, signal timing, incident response, managing roadway restrictions, coordinating special events, and delivering real-time traveler info. With 226 miles of fiber optics and over 200 video detection systems, the TMC makes real-time adjustments to minimize traffic congestion. Signal timing is updated based on thorough analysis and advanced modeling tools, tailored to each intersection's traffic volumes and roadway design, ensuring safe and efficient operations. Signal timing is adjusted daily to respond to changing traffic patterns, construction, and big events. Smart, responsive, and ready, Scottsdale's TMC keeps your commute safer, faster, and more efficient.
That's a good segue to what we're about to discuss. So we're going to touch on the signal basics, leading, lagging operations, signal change, clearance intervals, and Scottsdale staff recommendations. I guess most drivers will probably see something like this at a signalized intersection. On the left, the 5-section head would give us both the permissive and protected movement. On the right is a protected only. For leading versus lagging, so if it's leading, the left-hand arrows are on at the beginning of the cycle, and lagging is going to be at the end of the cycle. Left-hand facing options. We have 3 different options. One is permitted or permissive. That is kind of like the green bar that you're able to go. So there's advantages and disadvantages right there. Permitted left would reduce the intersection delay, but then it's going to require drivers actually pick and choose the acceptable gaps. Protected left turn, the benefit for that is it's going to reduce delay for the left turners, but then it's going to increase the overall intersection delay. The last one is protected permissive left, which is a combination of both. It's going to increase, it's going to decrease the traffic delay, but it's going to limit us as far as traffic progression. This is one of the decision-making guide for traffic signal phasing. Different cities in the nation, we have a mixed use of leading, lagging, or lead-lag throughout the nation. So using one common sequence at all intersections is not likely most efficient. We're looking for better operation and or safety performance. I'll go through. So there are different reports and studies and research over the years. The finding is that similar crashes we would have for leading and lagging. no statistical evidence of difference between the two. Consideration should be based on multiple factors, such as safety, efficiency, consistency, and resources. Occasionally, question came up, why don't we just make them all lag or lead? And because of situations like this. So the screen that we have right there, we have a high volume of left turners blocking the through lane. In this situation, if we are lagging, nobody is moving through the intersection. And I do have a video. So this is one of the intersections that we have in the city, 90th and Mountain View. On the left is the advanced traffic management system that we use. On the right is the video detection system that we have per location, from up the top, left to right, the northbound, southbound, and the eastbound, westbound. We're going to have that when the video is playing. This is running concurrently, so what you see on the left is going to be a duplicate on the right. So what that yellow circle right there, the left turn, the high volume of left turns blocking the through lane. So in this situation, we would probably lead to clear out the left turners. Yep, so leading left-turn operation, it does provide additional capacity. It does have the factors such as geometry, traffic volume, cycle length, driver habits, speeds, etc. Optimizing signals provide the maximum use available roadway capacity. This is another example of, so instead of the previous example, in this situation, we have a high volume of through traffic blocking the left turn, as you can see right there. And a video at 68 and Indian School recorded in August 21st. Very similar setup. The left is an advanced traffic management system that we have. The right is a video recording. In this situation right there, we have northbound, very high through traffic volume for northbound, blocking the left turn lane. So we are clearing out the through movement to make room for the lagging left turn. Yep. So those are the two scenarios that we have in the city, but we have a lot more intersection that very similar setup. For lagging operation, more effective in appropriate situation, at the freeway traffic interchange, unusual spacing, signal spacing, which is less than a quarter of a mile spacing, and geometric constraints, short left-hand storage, which we have a lot in the city. So utilization of both leading and lagging provides optimal traffic progression depending on location and time of day. In summary, leading or lagging is not a one-size-fits-all. Traffic engineers should have the flexibility to implement the appropriate left turn operation based on thorough analysis, optimal throughput, safety, and available resources. The next one is traffic signal change and clearance intervals. So this came to mind when we talk about clearance interval, decision or dilemma zone. The yellow area that we are talking about, there's a beginning and there's also the end. As drivers approach the intersection, when the light is turning yellow, they have to decide if they kind of slow down or they kind of speed through the intersection. This is the limits of the decision zone. It has the approaching speed. It has a beginning and also the end by feet and also by time. So if you're at the beginning, it depends on the speed. Let's just say 35 miles per hour. You have to travel a distance of roughly 285 feet. And if you're at the end, you have to travel 125 feet, and so on. Or 5.5 seconds from the stop bar at the beginning, or 2.5 at the end. Basic signal timing parameter guidance for the yellow change and also for the red clearance. So there's consequences of having too little time and also consequences of having too much time. The dependent is, there's a lot of variables that we have to depend on. And those are the driver perception reaction time. Everybody's different. Younger may probably react quicker than the older driver. Vehicle deceleration rate, vehicle approach speed, the grade, if it's hill or level, intersection width, vehicle length, and also the speed. So a lot of variables besides just the yellow clearance time. Duration of minimum yellow clearance. So it has a table of, let's just say if we're going 25 miles per hour, it's about 3 seconds, 30, 3.2, and so on. This is the intersection that we have at Scottsdale and Frank Lloyd Wright. If you look at the arrow right there, maybe it's probably not visible, but if you look at yellow, I'm gonna go back to the previous slide. We wanna look at the through movement because that's the actual 45 miles per hour speed. This is the location that has 45 miles per hour posted speed. So if you're looking at 45 miles per hour, is indicating 4.3 seconds, and our time is 4.7. Standard of practice. So these are the reference that the guidelines that we base on, the ITE guidelines, the signal timing manual, the Aztec white paper. I do want to point out there are 2 agencies in the Valley that pilot the increase in their clearance intervals. One is going to be done by next year. The other one's going to be done in 2028. There's one study in California found that increasing clearance interval greater than the ITE guidelines recommended would increase the number of angle collisions. It's one of the most severe collision type. While we reduce the overall collisions slightly, but that increase may be because of the decrease in rear-end collisions. It's one of the least severe collision types. So these are the manuals and guidelines that we reference. This is a white paper, Aztec white paper that was done in 2022 with 13 agencies involved. Scottsdale is one of them. We are number 6. It's highlighted right there. And this is for the red clearance. So we are testing. We are constantly testing the technologies that we have out there. I just run, there's a video. As you can see, the same thing on the left, the advanced traffic signal management system that we have on the left. On the right, it's the same thing that you saw previously, but we turn on the detection system right there. As you can see, multiple detection zones that we have detecting vehicles. Way in the back, the zone for the dilemma zone, we are testing that. We want to make sure if there's vehicles in there, we would be able to extend the green time to actually help them get through the intersections safely. And the reason for that is adaptive detection zones. So we're only going to use it when we need it. If vehicles are not in there, it's not being detected, we're not using it, we're not going to increase the intersection delay. Staff recommendation, City of Scottsdale currently meet or exceed the minimum yellow change. Our clearance times are more conservative and consistent with standard practice and requirements. So we would like to continue to leverage the ITS technologies, such as adaptive system to pilot projects with green time extension to increase intersection safety. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, and I know other members of the council are going to have questions or comments. But to start with, in conclusion, it sounds like the difference in the lagging and leading is tied to the different structure or design of the intersections, and that sounds like an important factor. Would that be a fair statement?
Madam Mayor, that's correct.
Okay, and that made sense with your videos there. Are you also the individual or department, I know you're the department, that I understand we have pretty sophisticated synchronization software for intersections and signals?
Madam Mayor, that's correct. We use 3 different types of softwares to actually check and double check and double check.
And do you have people in the department that are sitting there watching those videos all day long? I mean, the video, I should say.
Yes, we do. At TMC staff open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay, interesting. And so when traffic is heavy, do you open up the green? I think you just said that for longer green lights to have the flow of traffic.
That's
improve?
correct.
Okay.
Yes, we're able to do that. And one example is last weekend freeway closure. We're able to open it up. I'm not sure if you got stuck in any of the area, but we trying our best to move traffic.
All right, well, I'm going to turn it over to the city manager has something he wants to say.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just going to expand about what my colleague, how he had answered your first question. I think it's a combination with the infrastructure design and then also maximizing the efficiency. So a good example is if we go back to engineering working collaboratively in the design to design an intersection for safety efficiency. And then what we see is increased activity at that intersection. And a good example in that one is where you have, I'll call it a fairly short queuing or on that left turn. And if lots of people want to turn left, then it would be stacked if you don't allow that to lead. So in that there is an alternative to not having a leading. And the alternative is to build larger infrastructure. So what we're doing, I would submit, is maximizing the efficiency using the existing infrastructure that we have. I will tell you it's one of the more sophisticated systems, and as you can tell from the presentation and my colleague, this is a science. It's not, although, as my colleague also referenced over the weekend, we when we have the 101 closed going northbound, that puts a significant amount of regional traffic on local roads. They're not designed for that. And so therefore, although there are the standard kind of 12 hours Monday through Friday, on special events such as that, or when we have special events in town, they are able to monitor that and make adjustments. I know this firsthand. We were in communications over the weekend, and he was making adjustments as there were certain north-south corridors that were being impacted by the 101 being closed in the diversion. So I just wanted to emphasize that because of this, the city's longstanding investment in the TMC Center and ongoing basis, we're able to really maximize limited infrastructure for additional volumes that we're seeing. And then after working with police department to minimize any impacts as far as accidents. And I would submit that when you look at our national standards, we fare quite well in that regards for the amount of volume in traffic moving through our transportation network. So this is paying off for the safety of our community members and the traveling public. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Terrific. Thank you for that information. Councilwoman Whitehead.
That was fascinating. I want those videos. I mean, I don't think any of us are going to drive without noticing this now. I think that leading lagging is particularly fascinating. Also, I did not know about the green light extension options, the ability to be flexible. So I think this has been a pretty interesting presentation. I don't have any questions. I just find it, I actually, and also how much it saves, because we often get the question, well, you can't make the roads wider. Well, not only that, it's really expensive, and you usually have to tear down trees and all kinds of other things. So the goal is always to use what we have best. And so I'm really impressed.
Thank you. Councilwoman McCallum.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much for your presentation. I know everyone always thinks they're the traffic engineer when they're driving around the city, so thank you for what you do. I also maybe just want to bring attention, I know that you guys have a list of intersections that you're studying, because as constituents write us letters, and you might get a whole bunch, like a neighborhood that says, this light is awful, and then they all write. All the ones that I've asked about, they're on a list of a study. Oh, that one's coming up this spring, this one. And it's interesting because, like Councilwoman Whitehead said, when you drive through an intersection, all of a sudden you're thinking, okay, I got an email about this intersection, and it is taking a long time. Maybe, and that's when I called, and they said, oh, it's already on a study. And it's just fascinating how scientific all of this is. I appreciate what you do, because it's almost thankless, but we're thanking you, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Graham.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Kwon, fine presentation. I want to start by saying that a couple months ago, we were ranked in the top 10 in the country for safe cities to drive. Do you take credit for that? Are you familiar with? Are you familiar with that study?
Yeah, Madam Mayor.
You didn't influence the voting, did you?
I would love to take the credit for that, but it's not.
In Phoenix, Mesa, Chandler, Gilbert, they tilt towards a leading left arrow. Scottsdale, Tucson, ADOT freeways tilts towards a lagging left arrow. Flagstaff has kind of a mix. I'm partial to lagging left arrows myself. And would you agree with that? Okay, I got some applause that were, quickly withheld. In fact, I wrote an op-ed once on my favoritism towards lagging left arrows that Terrence Thornton actually published back in his journalism days. Do you remember that op-ed? I can't believe you publicized it, but you did. And when I wrote that, I was kind of lobbying to go towards an absolutist lagging only, like Councilwoman McGowan said, like, when I'm driving, I am the best traffic engineer. Everybody driving any faster than me is crazy. Everybody driving even 1 mile slower than me is a moron. And so, but it doesn't quite work that way, does it? And especially after serving 7 years on the Transportation Commission, I accepted the fact that one size does not fit all. In fact, it would be probably a disaster for our city. And so I think that we've kind of struck a balance, and I'm just talking about the left turn right now. I'm not even going into the yellow timing. But I tend to think that we're not taking a vote up here, but I would still, on the record, say that I favor lagging left arrows, but that's not an absolute point of view, because I've come to accept the fact that in some cases you do need a leading left arrow. So just a few comments. Mr. Kwan, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Allison and John. Really appreciate the presentation. And with that, we will do you want to speak?
It's just 10 seconds. Just
Yeah, no problem.
Just real fast. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I just would like to suggest maybe the idea then of signage when there is a differentiating arrow, just a little extra signage for those who visit here. They don't know necessarily which arrows are going are leading and which are lagging. I don't know what the cost would that be. Just throwing something out there that maybe would make things a little easier for our visitors that come in from both Phoenix as well as from out of state.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, with that, thank you very much, and we're going to let you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to, at the request of Vice Mayor Quasman, the second work session item is photo enforcement cameras. And I see our Chief Leduc here to give the presentation. And it will be on possible direction related to photo enforcement cameras, including speed detection systems and red light cameras. Thank you. Welcome, Chief Leduc.
Good evening. Tonight I do have the opportunity to present to you on our photo enforcement program. So I want to talk about the history of the program. I want to talk about its efficacy, how it operates, why it exists. I want to talk about the public safety impact it has, the crash reduction and how it changes driver behavior. And I also want to talk a little bit about the efficiency it provides and discuss briefly some of the privacy concerns that are always brought up and some of the community alignment and really how photo enforcement really answers some of the community concerns that we have. So this next slide outlines a program history. It started in 1996, where we were one of the first leaders in photo enforcement. But what it really shows is after the really 30 years of impact, reduced speeds, reduced accidents, and these are some of the milestones where we've actually tried to make it better throughout time, either through technology or we find a better way, we find a way to make it even more fair. So we're very intentional about how we deploy the program and how it exists within the city of Scottsdale. So it's been around for 30 years. Currently, we operate 15 total cameras. 11 of them are fixed at intersections, 4 mobile. 3 of those mobile systems are towers. 1 of them is a van. Each of the 3 different types, the mobile, the van, and the fixed, all have really a different role within what we call the environment of photo enforcement. This is interesting because it shows that as far as density is concerned, Scottsdale in the Valley has the lowest photo radar sites as far as density is concerned comparatively to other cities. And really the takeaway from that is it demonstrates that a target data-driven approach to where you place the cameras really is more effective than just placing them ubiquitously across the city. It has to be intentional, it has to be purposeful, it has to be strategic, and we still get a great benefit public safety-wise without having to be super dense. So you can see our comparison there. or we're the lowest. I wanted to show a couple videos just as examples. No crashes in these, but just some egregious violations. Somebody may have to help me here. Someone's going to take over. There you go. Thank you. So what you're seeing here is a 130-mile-per-hour red light violation at Frank Lloyd Wright and Greenway Hayden Loop. Yeah, fast. This person actually fled the state, was long-formed, and currently has a suspended driver's license because of this. Next video I want to show you where we have been deploying some of our photo radar towers. I'm going to let someone else take control so I don't, there you go. 56 miles an hour in a 15-mile-per-hour zone. This person was effectively arrested for this. It's criminal speed through there. And as a matter of fact, I believe their license is still suspended from what happened here. So just two examples of how they help us catch violators. But we'll go through the public safety impacts. Statistically, we've had both internal and external studies from 2016, another study in 2023. We've seen statistics such as 61% reduction in left turn accidents, a 47% reduction in red light violators, which really results in a total 15% decrease in total collisions and 49 fewer severe and fatal traffic crashes. And this is at the enforced intersections. So graphically, you can see here severe fatal collisions, 49% reduction, injury collisions, 29% reduction, and total collisions, a 15% reduction. In addition to that, the signs provide a true deterrence. None of this is meant to be done in the dark or without warning people, because we want voluntary compliance. We want our community to know that the radar is there. We're not trying to trick anybody. It's voluntary compliance. So just the fact that they can see the signs, they know that they're there, gives them a chance to slow down, and that's what makes it safer, these intersections more safe. Not only that, we have a statistic that shows that there's an actual behavioral change. 93% of violators never reoffend. They get the message the first time, and that leads for safer driving. And it's a force multiplier. I'm going to show you a statistic in a minute where one camera actually equals what it would take 12 officers to accomplish. Radars are out there in rain and shine. They work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, enforcing the traffic, and we'll kind of go into exactly how that works. I also want to mention school safety zones. Remember, we have the different rules. We have the fixed camera systems at the intersections, and then we have the 3 kiosks in the van, or the 3 towers in the van. About 26% of the time we're deploying those kiosks at school zones to increase the safety around the schools, and we've seen great results in that. And then I believe this might have been something that Councilman Graham was referring to. We are the 7th safest city for drivers nationwide, the first safest city in the state of Arizona. And I will blame John for that, but it's a collective. It's a collective of the traffic safety engineering and efforts that we do through photo enforcement, through our motor units, and everything that keeps people driving safely and our accidents down. I also want to cover the process for how we issue a citation, because there is due process involved in this. 99% of photo radar processing is done by a human being. The only 1% is the camera catching the violator, identifying that there was a violation, and then sending it to 2 sets of human hands. So the first review is done by the vendor. It goes through several checks and QA, quality assurance, and then within 10 days it has to come to the Scottsdale Police Department, where we put a second review on it, and then within 60 days of flash, 60 days of the time that the citation or the violation occurred, it has to be filed within the court. But we have quality assurance throughout that time. Now there's 2 things that occur when a violation occurs. Number 1, through this extensive review, the operators and our our photo enforcement staff can identify the driver through MVD records and the photograph, and at that time, if they can attest that this driver matches this violation, then they are sent a citation which they can then dispute in court, due process just like if you receive any other ticket. The second thing is if they cannot 100% make an identification between what is shown on the camera and the MVD record, then they send a notice of violation. And the registered owner of that car has two choices. One choice, they can do nothing. We ask them, second choice is identify the person that was driving your vehicle and sped. But they can choose to do nothing. So let's talk about mobile units for a minute. Mobile units are really a response to community complaints. One of our highest complaints in the city of Scottsdale for the police department is traffic and traffic violations. This really opens up a couple things for us. Number one, it allows us to address that complaint in real time with the towers or a van. So a great example of that, we get a lot of traffic complaints on Chaparral. Since 2023, we've done pretty robust enforcement with photo radar. And from 2023 to 2025, we've actually seen a 47% reduction in violations and an overall speed reduction of 5% on that roadway. But it does something else for us in neighborhoods. It verifies that if sometimes the perception of speed on their street is merely that, just a perception, so it allows us to collect data. So when we put a tower van out there, we can determine, are people actually speeding as a matter of routine? Another example, dynamite. There's a section of dynamite that we've deployed at. We're getting complaint after complaint about the high speeds on dynamite. For 3 years and over 1 million vehicles passing by that kiosk during different times, usually week or 2 week long deployments, we found out that the average speed is actually 48.25 miles per hour in a 50. We also found out that only 0.6% of those 1 million vehicles were actually doing 11 over, which is our trigger point. So we were able to actually get back to the community and say, actually people are driving within the speed limit on Dynamite Road. So it really allows us to connect to our community, and 57% of the time, that's exactly how we're deploying the towers in the van. The 26% of the time, like I mentioned before, is for increased safety in school zones, and then 17% is ahead of known traffic issues that might happen, like right around maybe the Phoenix Open or the Barrett-Jackson, where we're really trying to calm traffic down going into those venues, so we'll use them for that as well. So this ensures that enforcement aligns with residential concerns and supports public safety priorities, which is the community's priorities. So I mentioned earlier that it's 1 camera to 12 officers. And so here's some of the math on that. Each photo enforcement camera provides about 8,700 hours of traffic monitoring. Our motor officers, 1 motor officer annually can complete about 900 hours of that same traffic monitoring. So if you look at that, 1 photo enforcement camera costs about $123,000, where our motor units are expensive, all in there at about $193,000. And so if you look at the math there, total cost for 12 officers is over $2 million. And a single camera can deliver a comparable monitoring at only 5% of the cost. So there's definitely a cost benefit, there's definitely efficiency with that. And this is more of just kind of a graphical way to show that we're cameras versus what an actual motor officer can do. And then 2 whole motor squads it would take to even get close to what a camera could do, 1 camera. And that's the cost difference. Privacy and data storage. So all of the data is cloud secure. It's only accessible by SPD and a vendor. We have a very robust policy on how that accesses data, how that data is accessed, and how it's used. We also have retention schedules, so violators where it results in a citation or an NOV are purged every 5 years, but violations that don't go the way of NOV or don't go the way of an actual violation are actually purged in 1 year. So looking ahead, I talked about the strategy and the intention of it. We are always looking for the worst intersections. We are always going to be engaged in an effort to evaluate our fixed sites and place them where they should be. This isn't a set it and forget it type of program. It is all about the traffic safety. It's about reducing the accidents. It's about reducing the injuries and reducing the deaths. We're also exploring a partnership with ASU for another independent study. Our last one was 2016. We did an internal study in 2023. We're looking for a more recent study from ASU, so we're in the middle of trying to create that partnership and get that done. And always keeping that connection with the community and using this tool as part of the community, not over the community, which is very important to us. So in conclusion, I strongly believe that leveraging photo enforcement directly speaks to our mission of public safety here. Our community demands it, and we have found it to be a very effective tool for us in slowing traffic down and reducing the number of accidents. And with that, I'll take questions, and I do have to say my team is here, so if any questions involve math, I'll bring them up.
Thank you so much, Chief LeDuc. Councilwoman DeBascus.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You and I correspond somewhat frequently about residents who have these issues and they're asking for the boxes, and exactly what you described is frequently what comes back is there's a perception that the speed is higher maybe than it is, and some of it sounds like there's noise concerns. I would have thought with electric cars that cars would have gotten quieter, but it does seem like some of it is related to noise. So I'm not sure how much we can do about all of those things. But one of the concerns that I had is I believe, City Manager Caton, we have talked about the legislature is looking to put these photo enforcements on the ballot for the entire state. And has that happened for the 26th ballot? Is that on 26 yet?
Madam Mayor and Councilmember, not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. So that was one of my concerns is that this is a tool that you're currently using, and so that's probably going to be part of our legislative discussions coming up here. And when I talk with residents, and they talk about the police, they never really mention anything other than traffic, right? Mm-hmm. Which is what you're saying. So that means you guys are doing a great job as far as residents are concerned, striking a wonderful balance between having a safe community and not feeling over-policed. But a lot of times they're asking for more cops on the street. And so how do you balance that? How do you think about that? In North Scottsdale, we have a lot of land. And so it's kind of tough to manage all that. So what are your thoughts on how many cops on the street versus photo enforcement, and what's the right balance?
Madam Mayor, Councilwoman DeBascus, council members, that's a great question as far as balance, because we are always seeking what that balance is. We have found that we have very sophisticated deployment software and systems that tell us what that balance should be at any given time. But when you add in photo radar, it really frees up our officers to patrol their neighborhoods, to respond to collisions, to patrol the areas of the school, to answer calls that involve violent crimes. And so we're not losing that traffic safety component with it. We feel very strongly that officers getting out of their cars, patrolling their areas of responsibility are extremely important. So we're always trying to push as much of that as we can. And if we can find more efficient and effective ways to do the traffic enforcement, like photo radar, then that is just a plus in that direction for us. But the larger picture is also just utilizing technology in every way to find those efficiencies to keep our officers out there doing the patrols and contacting the community and getting out. So it's a very important balance.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager wants to chime in.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just going to add to the chief's comments in regards to the deployment to Councilwoman DeBoss' question. I think, in my mind, what the chief has struck is an awesome balance as it relates to technology and personal deployment, if you will, personnel, as it regards to traffic enforcement, and utilize the sworn officers in more of an advantageous role, such as the proactive units that we have. And there should be a tremendous amount of credit to police leadership, to the years of investment in the proactive units that the police department has. And so that speaks to the presence. that speaks to preventing criminal activity. And council, I know, is well aware of the intelligence unit, for example, and it's highly regarded amongst neighboring communities, amongst the state, and the intelligence that the police department has. And that's just one example of investing in the human capital, so wisely investing in that. And what we've struck in this instance is a balance between the technology. And so another thing that the chief would also indicate is looking at that proactive time that an officer is available time. They used to do, years ago, they would take officers per 1,000 of residents. I found that is no longer the best number to use, but it's this other measure of available time for a police officer to do the prevention work. So they're not running call to call. And what I would submit to this council through the leadership of this chief and previous chief is unabashedly investment in that proactive policing, and the results are an extremely safe community that we all enjoy today. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Whitehead.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for the presentation. You know, I just want to point out that 30 years ago when I moved here, there were just signs at the intersections of how many deaths had occurred that year, or whatever time period it was, and there was no way I was going to get on a bicycle in this community. And really, we've come a long way. The question I have, and interesting about dynamite, that is one of my pet projects, so thank you for that data. What about those boxes? You said we have 3 of those? Yeah, it seems like that is, we do get a lot of requests for that. Is it a pretty expensive piece of equipment? How come we only have 3, I guess is my question, because we definitely need them at the schools, but elsewhere too.
Yeah. Madam Mayor, Councilwoman Whitehead, members of the council, actually the towers are some of the most cost-effective pieces of equipment we have in the photo radar photo enforcement arsenal. We do have plans to purchase more and deploy more of them, but it truly, we found, like I said, it's less about density than it is about being very selective of where we put them, but we can use more. We discuss growing that in the future.
And I think it's interesting that you explained that the signs are there because you want people to comply. So that's kind of cool too. You know, and you didn't touch on the crime aspect, but of course we've all heard the, you know, incredibly bad criminals that have been caught, or just the random whatever that when they're driving around in circles or whatever they're doing. And so the criminal aspect I think is really important. And then as far as the legislation is concerned, last year when it was introduced, I believe pretty much every law enforcement agency came out in opposition to limiting local control of that. Is that correct?
Madam Mayor, Councilwoman Whitehead, members of the council, yes, that is correct. We all recognize what an incredible tool it is for public safety, and so we feel very strongly about keeping the program.
You know, and the final thing I will say is anybody who doesn't like traffic should love these cameras, because you get one accident and traffic gets snarled. So these prevent accidents and keep traffic flowing. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Quasman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Chief LeDuc. It was an excellent presentation and thorough, and I appreciate you being able to brief the council on this. Just 2 quick things. I am as big of a supporter of law enforcement as you could possibly imagine. I'm against photo radar. I'm against photo radar because I think it's unconstitutional. I think the 6th Amendment of the Constitution requires the ability to confront a witness against you, and I do not think that a machine can provide that. And I think that a very simple example that's used is you're evading somebody and you have to make a defensive evasion that increases the speed limit, and then increases your speed, which would go over the limit and hit the radar. And unfortunately, that can be a situation where that trips the radar going off, and you have no means to be able to defend yourself in a court of law because you can't confront your witness. I know that sounds like a very specific instance, but it's our job to secure the liberties of the residents and the citizens, and I applaud the state for attempting to do just that. Also, I just want to say that I fully acknowledge that photo radar does save lives. It saves lives, especially at intersections. But just as you said on Chaparral, where, forgive me, the speed limit is 40 miles per hour? No. 30 miles an hour. So a 5% decrease is a 1 3/4 decrease of mileage per hour in speed. So I am very happy to look toward doing what we can to save lives at intersections and then be very strategic where we have our, where we use photo radar on thoroughfares where intersections are not involved. And other than that, you and your team are the finest in America and are just wonderful. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, Vice
Thank you. Councilwoman McAllen.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation, Chief. I'm going to bring up something that you didn't really touch on, but only because I've received probably over 100 emails about it, and I know it was kind of pushed out. I talked to you about it last week. You did a presentation, flock readers. Could you just explain what they are and the use, and maybe the specific example that you used at your speech about how it saved a specific person's life at Fashion Square?
I'm going to interrupt you because I think I know what the city attorney is going to say. This was not agendized for that issue, and it's not really related, so.
Oh, it's cameras, photo cameras, but okay.
Is that the city attorney? Was that going to be your comment?
Yes, it's not agendized for this discussion, and this is about speed enforcement, and flock or automated license plate readers are not involved with speed enforcement.
And we can put those on a future agenda because that is something we've heard a lot about. And on that note, also off topic, but I do have a question about noise. Is there any way to use the red light cameras or the boxes or the van to register noise? Because the loud vehicles that are going drag racing up and down Scottsdale Road, like literally, it's getting so bad. And I'm sure we hear this from people, it's really getting bad. So any capacity to add that technology to cameras?
Madam Mayor, council members, that's an interesting idea. I'm not aware of any technology that exists right now that can pinpoint with any accuracy exactly where that noise would be coming from in a busy traffic. I'm sure it may exist, but then to put that together with some type of photo enforcement thing could be $1 million idea. It's a great idea as far as enforcing that, but I'm not aware of any technology or any company that would offer that kind of service at this point.
Be great. Okay, thanks. Councilwoman Whitehead.
You know, I just want to point out 2 different residents have contacted me with examples of actually noise cameras. So I don't know. I can dig up those emails. I mean, it is funny how we have all these electric cars, but then at the same time, other car manufacturers have gone out of their way to make cars louder. So, but anyway, I'll look up those emails.
Thank you. I don't see any further requests to speak, so thank you so much, Chief LeDuc. Great job. We appreciate you. All right, with that concludes our business for the evening. I will move to adjourn this meeting. All right. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much for being here tonight.